It has been a busy year in the world of bikes, and I've been lucky enough to try out loads of new cycling tech. So, just like a Spotify Wrapped or Strava's year in review, I thought I'd sum up my year on the bike and let you know which tech trends I think are here to stay and some things that I've learnt along the way. That rhymes. Some of them might be a little bit controversial, but well, there we go. Before we get into it, make sure you're subscribed to the road.cc channel, as in the new year we'll be putting 3 or maybe 4 if it turns up, very special bikes head to head, and well, you don't want to miss that. Wind beating tech is coming, but it's not there yet. As many of you will know, I am a self-proclaimed data nerd. I love all of that sort of thing. And so when we got wind, no pun intended, of tech that could tell you how slippery you are, I was pretty excited. Over the year, I tried out the Aero sensor system. I then tried out the body rocket system, which sort of expands on that with lots more sensors. And then recently, I've been playing with the absolutely huge Wahoo Element Ace, which kind of tries to package all of that tech together into a more user-friendly brick for your bars. All 3 of these devices have shown plenty of promise, more than enough to convince me that Aero tech is going to be big business. In 2024 though, we're just not quite there. The Aero sensor is a bit of a faff to set up and needs near perfect conditions. The body rocket system proved that you can get an accurate CDA result outside of an expensive wind tunnel, but it's prohibitively expensive, and at the moment only for TT bikes. And the Element Ace wind sensor, well, that just feels a bit unfinished. So I guess the result of all of that is we'll just have to wait and see whether 2025 is the year that at-home aero testing becomes mainstream reality. Van Rysel means business. Now, if I had to choose just one bike brand that I think has had the most success in 2024, then I think it's got to be Van Rysel. And from what I've seen, don't be surprised if it continues its upwards trajectory over the next few years. You see, back in 2023, Van Rysel rather brashly said that it wanted to be one of the top 5 bike brands in the world. And plenty of us said, well, yeah, lots of people do. This year though, I think that Van Rysel has proven that it has all the ingredients to actually make that a reality. It has the huge financial backing of Decathlon. It has some bloody good bikes, both at the top end and more budget ends of the spectrum. And having visited their headquarters in Lille, it's safe to say that they've got the resources to keep those bikes coming. 2025 looks set to be another big one for the brand, and we already know that Decathlon AG2R will have a new aero bike to play with, the RCR-F. Oh, and we've also spotted a new gravel bike being used by Van Riesel's ambassadors, so look out for an official release of that too. Thing I learnt number 3, the difference between all the top end bikes is minuscule. So there. So yeah, one thing that I think has been becoming increasingly clear to me this year is that nearly all the top end bikes are just so similar. In fact, we made a video asking whether the latest Canyon Aero is proof that modern aero bikes are just boring. Now, since then, Colnago has kind of bucked the trend with their new Y1 RS, but I still maintain that all of the very nice bikes that I got to ride in 2024 are just so hard to choose between. There's very little to separate them. Over the last year, I have ridden the new Pinarello Dogma, the Specialized Tarmac SL8, the new Cannondale Super 6, the aforementioned Canyon Aero, the Van Rysel RCR Pro, the Colnago C68, what else? Latest Giant TCR. But to be perfectly honest with you, I'd happily have any of them. Yes, if you ride them back to back, then each has its unique handling, and some are a few grams lighter than others, some are potentially a few watts faster than others. But the truth is, if you are parting cash with any one of these bikes, then just choose the one that you like the look of, or whichever brand resonates with you the best, because the only people who the performance of any of these bikes are going to make a difference to is the people that don't have to buy them. They're getting given them. They're getting told that they have to ride that bike. I haven't done the math, but I reckon having a stretch once a week will make a bigger difference to your riding performance than the difference between a 4 gram bike and a 12 gram bike. What do you reckon? Let me know in the comments below. Now, you might have seen our recent video on the Physique 1-to-1 saddle, which, to be fair, is easy to dismiss as just another piece of overpriced tech, as it has an RRP of £500. However, I think that this is just the start of a whole wave of bike accessories that are designed for your individual needs rather than being mass produced for the average person. You see, 3D printing has always kind of promised this customizability because it's no more expensive to make one than it is to mass produce it. Whereas if you're putting something into a mold, if you're making molds, you can make thousands for obviously a lot less. Whereas 3D printing, it's the same process whether you're making one or a million. The next thing I've learnt in 2024 is that one by is great on road bikes, and I know that's going to be controversial, but I just think it is. And I don't think it's just for the pros either. So we obviously saw Jonas Vingegaard, Wout van Aert using a SRAM 1x setup at the Dauphiné last year, even the Tour de France. And well, we thought we'd better give it a go. And give it a go we did. So this year I've had a SRAM Red 1x group set on my Specialized Alley for an entire year now. Now I do agree that it has some drawbacks, but not the ones that most people normally think about. Everyone says, aren't you going to run out of gears going down a hill? So I've got a 48 tooth ring on the front of my bike, and it's got a 1036 tooth set at the back, and a 4810 is as big a gear as, well, it's bigger than a 5211 and it's just a little bit smaller than a 5311. And how many times do you spin out a 5311 or even a 5211? You just don't. So you're not going to spin out. It's had more than enough gears for the riding that I've been doing, and I found that the simplicity is just one less thing to think about. It's less maintenance, and I've just really enjoyed that, and I think that outweighs the jumps in the gears. So what else have I learnt? Well, I'm a pretty slow learner, so not a lot. I learnt that hydration is as important as carbs. That is something that I think I have always overlooked. You can find the video popping up there, where we went down to Precision Fuel and Hydration. We had a go in their heat chamber against Jan Bakelants and Victor Campenaerts, and they went through the science of how many watts you can be losing by not keeping on top of your hydration. And this is something that the pro peloton has overlooked for years and years and years as well. Now, we all know that if you want to perform at your best on a long ride, then you need to be getting those carbs down you. 60 grams, 80 grams an hour, whatever you can handle, basically the more the better. And if you're looking at the pro peloton, then they're getting through 140 grams of carbs an hour. Now, that's going to be quite uncomfortable, and I don't recommend you do that. Hydration though, I've never thought about it. I might have a hydro tab, I might have an isotonic drink, but I've never thought about it. Turns out I'm a really salty sweater, and I need to be taking on far more sodium than I think. So that is something that I'm going to be doing in 2025. And yeah, if you haven't watched it already, give the video a look. I can't remember what number I'm on, but I think I learned that one bike does not rule them all. That's something that we saw more and more bike brands converging into one bike for everything. We saw Specialized with the Tarmac killing off the Venge. We saw Colnago, they only had the V4 RS. They killed off their concept, although they've now brought back the Y1 RS. And then we saw Trek kill off the Amonda with their latest Madone. All of that seems to have been scrapped though, because Canyon have kept the Aero. Colnago have launched the Y1 RS. Scott have released the super lightweight Addicts, and I think that this is a sign that we're not going to end up with just one road race bike from all the big manufacturers. I think that we will, if anything, start to, we've gone like that, I reckon we're going to go like that. Well, I do think that we've discovered in 2024 that bike brands are more than capable of making a bike that is good for nearly every situation and designed for me and you, and not those super flexible lycra clad French people. They're all French, all the pros, aren't they? They just love it. I am, of course, talking about all-road bikes, and we've ridden lots over the course of the year. What was my favourite, though? Well, the Vitus Venon, that was really good. The Ribble all-road promised to be really good, and then was a bit of a turkey. Yeah, turkey. It was a turkey. Merry Christmas. Well, also, endurance bikes have been getting wider and wider tyre clearances. I don't think that we can no longer label a bike an endurance bike or an all-road bike. They're sort of merged. So other good bikes, the Pinarello Dogma X, that was really good. I really liked that. Quite spenny though. The Boardman ADX, that was much cheaper. That was also very good. The Giant Defies were very good. The Lauf All-Told was very good. So yeah, lots of really great bikes that are designed for, well, riding B roads in the UK. They're just really good at that. 32mm tyres on them, no problem, with a set of mud guards, and you can just cruise over anything and be in far more comfort, and probably therefore also ride faster. So yeah, keep them coming, bike brands, in 2025, please. The next thing I learnt was during one of our bike fit visits to Synergy Performance and Luke over in Cardiff. What I learnt was, whilst getting my whole bike fit, I tried out lots of saddles, lots of different positions, and lots of different bar positions as well. And I always thought that by slamming my stem and using a nice negative degree stem, I was getting more aero. I was forcing myself into a more aero position, which it turns out isn't the case at all. You see, when you lower your stem or bars, you don't actually make your back any lower. Your back has a degree of flexibility that it's comfortable at, and it will go to that position. When you lower your bars, all what you actually do is lower your hands and open up more of your arms to the wind. Everything else, all the bits that are actually making a difference, your head and your chest and your shoulders, they're all basically in the same position, and they're still ploughing straight on into it. So yeah, that's one thing I learned. I probably shouldn't slam my stem so much, and you probably shouldn't either. And the final thing that I learned in 2024 is that direct-to-consumer goods they're coming. China is going to do it all. And well, they're already making everything else for all the other Western named brands, but it's just going to come direct to consumer, basically. So during 2024, we've learned that Astana are now going to be sponsored by XDS Carbon Tech, which is a huge carbon manufacturer in China. They are putting in enough money to supposedly rival the likes of UAE and Visma Lisa bikes. So we're talking the big bucks. And that means that the Astana riders will be on X-Lab bikes for the 2025 race season. Now, those are direct to consumer. You probably haven't heard of them before, but you probably will have by the end of next year. So that's bikes. Wheels, I've got a set of, we've been out and tested the Super Team wheels to see if direct-to-consumer wheels are any weaker than their Western counterparts, and the answer was a pretty resounding no. They managed all sorts of jumps and woods and other trickery. We put a youth on them. And then we've also got group sets. We've had lots released in 2024. There's the L2 one, and we had a go on the what's it called, wheel top. That's what it is. None of them have very catchy names, do they? Yeah, the wheel top one, it's proved that it's not as good as Shimano 105 Di2 or SRAM Apex AXS or anything like that, but it also doesn't cost the same, so it's cheaper. I think that next year we'll probably see a higher tier Chinese group set hit the market that can rival those. As for their warranty and processes, stuff like that, I think that's where they're falling down at the moment. If you have a problem, what do you do with it? You can't just pop to your local bike shop because they're not going to know what to do with it. And yeah, you might get a replacement sent out by the manufacturer, no questions asked, but it's still going to take probably 2 or 3 weeks to arrive, which could leave you without a bike. That's the bit that I think needs overcoming. You can find a link to any of these videos down in the description below, and we'll also pop them into a playlist so that you can watch them until your heart's content. As for 2025, well, look out for our tech predictions video coming soon. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel for that. Of course, let me know down in the comment section below whether you agree or disagree with any of my opinions and ramblings, and we'll see you in the new year.